Now, I already know what you're thinking. Tristan, this title is complete nonsense. You have made statements in your previous videos that indicate this is false. How could you lie to your audience like this? I hate to say it, but it's true. Dead Rising was the most fun I ever had in a zombie game, given its premise. Dead Rising was a dream come true for young boys like me. Growing up in a lower class household, I didn't own fancy things like an Xbox 360 until a few years into the console's lifespan. I vaguely remember seeing commercials for this game in my room late at night with the main character picking up anything and everything in sight to use against a massive horde of zombies. When I first saw Frank rip on the chainsaw cable, I nearly shat my pants. Frank West has become a household icon in the gaming industry, sparking tons of literal fame and fortune for the portrayal of his character. He was charming, sarcastic, funny, and even had some good serious moments. He was voiced by TJ Rodolo, who was just born to be Frank West. He brought a certain specialty to Frank's character that I don't think has been matched today, not even by Chuck Green from the sequel, which I already covered on this channel. Then one night, I went over to my cousin Cameron's house and noticed he had just gotten an Xbox 360, and with it was a copy of Dead Rising. I stared at the cover for 10 minutes, eyeing it up and down with goosebumps running through my system. I stayed up for hours playing the game and exploring the mall, all the different locations and areas you could go to. It felt like a whole new universe that was unexplored. Funny how time has changed my outlook since then. Nowadays, I play Dead Rising mostly for a laugh, or to kill some zombies for a few minutes. It's strange I once held the storyline up high with other legendary games like Uncharted or The Last of Us, but obviously as this game has aged, so has majority of its mechanics and dialogue. Let me briefly explain. Back then, the concept of leveling Frank up with photography, defeating psychopaths, and escorting survivors was huge. It was cool to discover the new skills and upgrades Frank can receive just by helping others to safety. Unfortunately, if you look at the game today, you'll notice that there are quite a few cheesier moments than you remember.
Zombies are no good. I can't serve my customers spoiled meat like that. I have a reputation to uphold.
What have we here? Looks like you lured another man in here, you little whore. If you try to interfere with official police business, I'll start with you before I get to her.
Think you can pull it off, Thomas?
But Daddy, he ain't no zombie. He's just a man.
Thomas! We're doing this to survive. You know that.
Using a firearm for self-defense is our God-given right as Americans, Thomas.
Come on, Thomas, shoot. Shoot him.
Shoot him, Thomas!
Said shoot him.
Despite these cheesy segments, the gameplay itself was a lot to get used to. Right off the bat, Frank is ill-equipped to handle the massive zombie population with only 4 squares of fucking health to back us up. As if that's not bad enough, right in the beginning, we're forced to claw our way through a massive horde of zombies. Okay, well, that was easy. I like how Frank just casually walked past this blonde woman. She didn't even look frightened. Pretty exhilarating stuff for its time, in my opinion. However, it becomes pretty clear right off the bat that the game isn't as fantastic and spectacular in all areas. I'll start with the smaller criticisms here, that way I can get them off my chest early on. Frank is pretty weak and slow off the bat. You must level him up along your journey either by killing psychopaths, saving survivors, or as previously mentioned, taking photographs. Your PP is very small in the beginning of this game, but using your expert photography skills can prove to be useful and get you a hell of a lot of points. Frank gives the player an audible hint whenever you score a picture worth anything above 500 prestige points. He says,
Fantastic.
Which funny enough became his most iconic line. So what exactly is Dead Rising? Why am I just now talking about it? I'll answer these very quickly. Dead Rising is a semi-open world zombie sandbox where you, Frank West, have come to Willamette, Colorado in search for the scoop of a lifetime, the story to finally make or break your career. Once he arrives to the town though, Frank sees that something is very wrong and the people are acting strange. When I was a kid, I hated this segment where you have to use the camera. It's skippable, which was unbeknownst to me at the time. However, I replay it today, and all I think about is how genius they incorporated the mechanics specifically for this introduction. It's not just about taking fancy pictures. This prologue is a tutorial in disguise. It's teaching us how to use the camera, how to capture a shocking image, all the while showing off grotesque imagery, like people dying from being eaten alive or worse, letting us know early on to always have our camera ready for the chance to take a great photo. Not long after that, we get attacked by some military helicopters. Frank jumps out of the helicopter from 25 feet like he's a 7-year-old and falls on his ass. He made it to the mall.
Hello there. Huh? Hello there.
Hey there!
Right in the beginning, we're introduced to the main villain of our story. His name is Carlito. Spoiler alert, he's the mastermind behind the zombie apocalypse. I know, it's such a surprise. I mean, who would have guessed?
Doesn't sound like civil disobedience. It's too quiet.
Almost as if everyone's already dead.
Yeah, I'm just being an asshole. It's pretty obvious he isn't on our side in this game. He was designed to look pissed off 24/7. He reminds me of Louis Serra from Resident Evil 4, only if Louis went to prison for 10 years and came out with a plan to infect the entire world. Soon afterwards, Frank makes his way through the security room, which is the main safe area for the player. Throughout the duration of the game, besides the overtime or extra modes, the security room is purely meant to give you a breather. To offer you some leniency, the room will sometimes spawn with food which can be eaten to regain any lost life. You must also save your game constantly, either by coming here or taking a piss in the urinal. Regardless, saving is more necessary than praying for this experience, considering autosave wasn't deemed as a necessary feature yet. Really makes you think about how great technology has evolved and how essential autosave is today. But we should continue with the story. We're not even started yet. After exploring an empty security room, Frank enters the main entrance plaza only to discover the worst has happened. He's trapped inside this building with the absolute silliest of goobers to exist. I'm not kidding, they're always loud and right up in his face for no reason. Who the fuck are these people?
Live without my precious little sweetie doggy. Oh, where is my Madonna? Where is she? Oh.
Ugh, nobody cares about your fucking dog, you old hag. Suddenly, Frank starts seeing some sexy senorita standing by her lonesome, but before he could pull the moves on her, this fat fuck blocks our line of sight and starts yelling at us.
You looking to get yourself eaten alive by zombies?
What? Did you just say zombies?
Take a look out there. If those ain't zombies, what would you call them? All right then. Feel like making yourself useful? Take a look around the mall. Bring anything we can use for the barricade back here.
During a lot of these cutscenes, you'll find yourself relating to Frank a lot more than you think. He's constantly questioning the actions and words of others, but when he's scared, he ends up speechless. Hell, some of Frank's best cutscenes happen when he doesn't utter a word, like when you meet the Atom Clown boss. I'll get to that later on. The first cutscene is pretty ridiculous, though. The barricades seem to be holding strong until that crazed old woman from before finds her dog on the outside of the mall entrance. Like a complete fucking troglodyte that she is, Granny opens the door and lets the zombies flood inside like a pool of never-ending pain. Wait a minute, wait a goddamn minute. Are you seriously telling me she was able to shove not one, but 2 fully grown men off of her? And it's all to save a stupid dog. This is when Frank must fight his way to the staircase in order to escape. Being a kid and playing this part felt like a heart attack waiting to happen. I was completely overwhelmed by the amount of zombies just in this one particular segment alone. This prepared me for what I think they were aiming for, informing the player that this is not going to be a hold your hand scenario. The text on the screen tells you what to do, now do it, or die. Speaking of which, that banner on the bottom of the screen gets really annoying after a while. Every time you level up or learn something new, you have to wait for that painfully slow text to scroll by with that logo spinning on the left. I thought I was playing a video game, not watching the fucking news. When Frank escapes, he meets the rest of the security team, like Brad, Jesse, and Otis. They discover that Frank can get access to the mall once again via the air ducts, and although Frank questions why at first, he caves and ends up exploring the outside like the curious George he is. In fact, things escalate when Jesse is injured and Frank takes her gun to give Brad some backup. Obviously, guns aren't unlimited here. Each handgun grants you only 30 shots. The handgun is pretty weak too. It sounds powerful and feels like it packs a punch, but the effect it has on your enemies says otherwise. When you fight Carlito for the first time, Brad does little to help. You have to climb all the way up to his stupid ass in order to get line of sight. Alright, you son of a bitch, eat my bullets, yeah! Okay. Okay, well, that's great. He didn't really put up much of a fight against me. This is the big, bad, scary terrorist of the game. After you kick his stupid, ever-loving ass, he runs away like the coward he is, and Frank demands some answers from Brad. The two agree to find another suspect within the mall who has secluded himself in a bookstore. His name is Dr. Barnaby, and he seems to know a lot about what's going on. He was the same man who attacked Frank in the beginning of the game, accusing him of the apocalypse or whatever. I thought it was just some crazy old man gibberish. Can you blame me, though? Everyone else in this game acts so fucking strange. You'd think you got trapped in a 7-Eleven at 3 a.m. Barnaby refuses to cooperate, though, which causes Frank to ask a pretty silly question, in my opinion.
You can't just arrest him?
My man, he is locked behind a solid gate that is impenetrable by hand. How the fuck would you even expect that to work? Well, with that in mind, we head back to the security room. We finally mention to the others that a helicopter is coming in 3 days to extract us from the mall, and that ignites a spark inside of Brad. In between the cases, you're encouraged to track down other survivors and bring them back to safety. This is Dead Rising's biggest calling card. The idea revolving around the survivors was unique for its time and offered a new challenge to the player not yet seen in any other game. Survivors are 110% irresponsible. They will sometimes blatantly stand out in the open waiting for a horde to submerge them, or they'll attack Frank if he causes damage to them, even if it's by accident. Escorting them is probably the hardest task in the entire game. Gotta get these zombies away. Don't! Cut the shit, Leah. She just pushed me further into a crowd of zombies. Thanks a fucking lot, not like I'm trying to save you or anything. It is pretty unique with the way some survivors require more than just a simple escort. For example, Bert here seems to have been neglected as a child, causing him to attack the first grown adult he sees. If you punch him around enough, he'll eventually cave and allow you to then run him back to safety. He's not the only one though, as some survivors require other things like holding their hands, carrying them, picking them up, offering a shoulder. It's actually intuitive for its time and added a sense of realism to the apocalypse. There's even a duo of survivors that are Japanese. You can't save them unless you carry a specific book in your inventory that teaches Frank how to speak in their language. It's not exactly groundbreaking, but it's a really neat detail. In fact, did you know that you can spit in this game? To any major fan of Dead Rising, this isn't news, but it's hilarious to imagine Frank spitting all over these people and the zombies, as if that's his only defense. What other zombie game can you play and go, oh yeah, I'm the fucking king now, let me just spit all over the zombies? Let me tell you, it's not many. Once you discover that you can do this, honestly, it's hard to stop. You can even make a juice called Spitfire that allows you to deal damage when you spit on enemies. It's just one of those goofy mechanics that you can't ignore.
Not gonna happen.
Oh god, look at this nonsense. Survivors are a pain in my ass, especially when you gather a whole crowd of them and they all get stuck just outside the safe room. Look at these guys, they're fucking kissing. I don't have a problem with that, but don't you think you could save it for inside the security room? You're seriously telling me that Capcom couldn't just make a fucking ramp? They end up jumping around like a bunch of brain-dead monkeys. It's embarrassing. Extra care and precaution must be taken when escorting survivors, otherwise you're just gonna get really angry really fast. For its time, it was neat to have to defend these innocent people who were caught in the middle of the infection, but it doesn't take an Einstein to see that the mechanics have aged poorly. Within the mall, there are hundreds of shops and kiosks for you to explore. You can find new clothes for Frank, weapons, tools, even change his hair color. For a game made in 2006, it had a pretty ambitious welcoming. The size of this mall is incomprehensible with the Quinvigilantillion zombies everywhere. Yes, that's a real number. You might think there's no easy way around, but if you roam around the map for a few minutes, you'll discover the parking lot, where you can get on either a Harley or take control of some shitty sedan. Both can make traveling much faster, but there's really no point to venture this far out early on. The parking lot is located in the center of the outside area at the top of the map, in between Wonderland and North Plaza. By the time you get up there, you could have gone downstairs, drank a six-pack, and punched yourself in the fucking jaw. You'd feel just as silly for wasting your time. Of course, I did say this would be a Dead Rising review, so I'll go ahead and cover some of the other things I want to mention before the story goes on. The Paradise Plaza is basically the main hub. This is where we get to the security room, and it's the most convenient section of the entire mall. Players are encouraged to search Paradise Plaza and study the environment, as this will be the most accessed area in the game. I always associate this plaza with the color blue for safety. No, it's not actually safe due to the zombies, but this is considered to be the easiest area out of all of them. The North Plaza is a section that was still undergoing construction when the infection hit, as can be seen by the scaffolds and construction equipment scattered everywhere. This area is most famous for Chryslips and the gun store, which I'll cover both of those later. There are also hundreds of thousands of fucking meat bags here, so you're gonna want to stock up on health items before proceeding. I associate this area with the color gray because it's so worn down and monotone cone and fucking dead. The Wonderland Plaza is designed specifically for children. It's a massive indoor theme park with a play area the size of Texas. I'm unaware of any corporate mall in America that actually has something like this, but it wouldn't surprise me if one existed. It seems like the perfect getaway for parents looking to explore the souvenir shops and let their kids run amok in the play area, or at least it used to be. I associate it with pink on account of the giant fucking bunnies everywhere. Then of course you have Leisure Park, which is a magnificent and beautiful landscape that doesn't stress you out or, you know, throw something crazy in your way.
Get your aim right, brother.
Oh, great. It's these fucking guys. The prison inmates. Man, their mouths are the size of my fist. They look like extraterrestrials. And no, I didn't say that wrong. Extraterrestrials, the male genitalia of the alien species. Look it up. They're not too difficult. They're just annoying. The strategy here is to get them to bug out and crash into a tree or a pole so Frank can get close enough to kill them. Unfortunately, that's a lot easier said than done. All they do is drive in circles. Come on, you fucking four-eyed galoot. Crash your stupid truck. Sometimes you'll get lucky, and the morons will get stuck on a light post. If you have a sniper rifle, it's an easy dub. After they're dead, you're big ballin'. You can snatch the 50 caliber machine gun right off the back of the truck and use it. It's got a lot of ammo, so feel free to open fire on a large crowd of zombies. Some weapons and guns require both hands, which means Frank can't carry this big son of a bitch unless he's holding it at all times or it runs out of ammo. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's Adam, the crazed clown man who gave me the creeps at such a young age. This boss battle is widely known today, and there have been countless memes and references to it since. As I said a minute ago, Adam genuinely scared me as a kid. The way he maniacally laughs and juggles chainsaws should be comedic, but as the player, we know it only spells trouble for us. This is where Frank doesn't even say a single word. All of his thoughts can be seen from his body movement and facial expressions. He's so fucking terrified, rightfully so. Okay, that was pretty easy. I guess that makes sense. In real life, you can't block a 50 caliber automatic machine gun. Believe me, I've tried. The second cutscene is far more gruesome than the first. Adam falls on top of his chainsaws like a complete bozo and laughs himself to death. Jesus Christ, pretty graphic for a game this old. Killing him grants you access to the greatest melee weapon in the game, the mini chainsaw. With 3 specific books in your inventory, the triple booked mini chainsaw, as it is famously known, is a force of nature. With these in your inventory, Frank can kill a maximum amount of 2,700-ish zombies. Damn. What makes it even better is being able to pick up more than one. If you leave an area and come back, weapons and items will all respawn to their respective places. So if you had 5 chainsaws, that's a total of 13,500 zombies you can kill. We also save Greg, who gives us a shortcut to and from the Paradise Plaza. Using the female bathrooms in the Wonderland Plaza will take us directly to the security room, or at least set us on the right path. I highly recommend you save Greg just for this shortcut alone. It helps speedrunners and anyone trying to save the idiots stuck within the confines of the mall. Keep in mind, I'm not going to discuss every single survivor, every single psychopath, or even every single ending. Not only would that take me forever, but I feel like I'd be stripping a sense of discovery and charm out of the game for those who haven't yet experienced its glory. It's not long after this we discover the doctor has been kidnapped by Carlito, the strange man from the beginning that we had to fight. Brad and Frank must get to the entrance plaza and save him. Carlito has a sniper rifle at this fight, which means he can peg you if you stand still for even a millisecond. So long as you have the mini saws, you're pretty much in business. There's another psychopath I want to mention briefly, mainly because of how uncomfortable she made me. Jo, the big police lady who kidnapped a bunch of women and basically sexually assaults them for what reason, who the fuck knows.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, not again! Help me!
Officer. Officer, can I talk to you for a minute? I mean, look, what did that woman do? This seems a little,
Shut your pie hole!
Whoever wrote these characters probably did a line of coke and started scribbling nonsense onto a sticky note. Duh, let's make a boss that rubs girls' legs slowly with her nightstick, duh. Fucking idiots. Why would I be scared of this? Or turned on, I guess, if that's what you were going for. It's just dumb, it's weird. Then when she's dead, she's not actually dead. I'm not joking, it takes like 45 uncomfortable seconds for her to die. She just moans and groans the entire time.
The pain. Oh, I'm gonna die. Can't believe a worthless prick like you did me in.
This was the only boss in the game that I thought was really fucking stupid. There's also the cultists, who add a decent variety of challenge to the gameplay. They carry sharp knives and deal a lot of damage to Frank if surrounded. Sometimes they will kamikaze you and attempt to grab you while holding a bomb. After a short while, their leader will be revealed in the 4th movie theater, where you kill him and put an end to the disgusting religion he has created. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Where was I? Oh yeah, Carlito and Brad shoot each other, Carlito gets away, and Frank must now find a first aid kit to save his friend. The only place with a first aid kit is the pharmacy behind Seon's food store, where we finally meet Steven.
This is my store! You came to vandalize my store, huh? Not on my watch!
Someone's been hurt. I need medicine.
Hurt! That's just what this bitch said when she came to vandalize my store! Listen to me. And listen good, partner. I don't allow vandalism in my store!
What a psychopath. What the fuck? He's a crazed employee who probably never went anywhere with his life and obsessed over his job. When the zombies came, I can imagine it was probably a devastating event that ultimately changed him into a monster. He's also the silliest psychopath in the entire game. He is so over the top, it's hard not to chuckle when you really think about the situation. Oh, the fucking boss theme, oh my god. Man, that fucking music slaps. One thing Dead Rising got right way back then was its soundtrack. This song is called Fly Routine by Hostile Groove, known widely amongst the fan base of the series today. Some of the bosses in this game have some sick music during their battles, and it's kind of weird how underrated they are. It's a bit tough trying to fight him using melee weapons, and while there are firearms in this game, you're unfortunately gonna have to fight this drunken hobo who owns the gun store in order to get access to any of them. This is a tough boss fight. Cletus nails me with every shot every time. At first, sniping him seemed to be the most effective. You can't jump behind the counter and attack, otherwise he'll just throw you back over. If you play it safe though, you'll beat him, and once he's dead, you can access shotguns and sniper rifles, which deal heavy damage but have limited ammo. Anyways, Frank brings the first aid kit back to save Brad in time. Barnaby wakes up and talks a little bit about something called Santa Cabeza, which seems to be connected to the outbreak and Carlito. While Brad slowly recovers, Frank sees that woman from earlier going back into the grocery store. When he goes to investigate, she turns feral and chases him down on her motorcycle. It's not an easy fight either. 8 out of 10 times, Isabela will hit you. The only strategy I had here was to run around and swing randomly, and somehow I beat her. She agrees to talk to Frank about what's been going on, offering to meet him in a private place. Frank shows up, but then she's attacked by a zombie. This segment of the game has tons and tons of exposition, so as usual, I'm just gonna summarize. Frank brings an injured Isabela back to the security room. He tells the others that Carlito is responsible for this entire mess, and he isn't done with his evil scheme. She wakes up, and Brad asks her what Carlito's plans are. When Isabela fails to show back up to Carlito, he makes this announcement in the mall.
I've made up my mind. This is the last resort.
Right.
I'm going to end it all. I'm sorry that I got you involved in all of this. I love you, Isabela.
That's right. It's bomb hunting time. This specific quest used to drive me insane as a kid, and I'll admit, this is probably where the tougher aspects of the game are going to shine through. Even if you're a level 50 at this point, you'll find the game amps up the difficulty and just throws all it has at you in intervals. Basically, what you're doing is following this piece of shit guide arrow and collecting Carlito's time bombs. If they detonate, the parasite will spread nationwide and cause a massive apocalypse. Not sure why he chose a shopping mall of all places to do this, but okay. At first, it's pretty simple with Frank being able to drive a vehicle in these tunnels. However, durability on them in this game is a swing and a miss. It feels like you're driving around in a Lego replica. The controls are stiff and floaty at the same time, and you can only go so far until the fucking thing breaks. When you're on foot, you're screwed, especially once you take notice of Carlito coming back. This time he's in a giant van, and it's really hard to hit him. I highly recommend you just fight through the bullshit and hit him any chance you can. The sooner he's gone, the fucking better. Frank finally collects all of the bombs, but Brad is still going after the terrorist scumbag who started this whole thing. Unfortunately, things take a turn for Brad, and we get debatably the most shocking cutscene in the game.
Well, shit.
If you go back down and look around a bit, you'll find Brad's flashlight and this.
Don't get any closer. Stay away, Frank. Don't get near me.
What's the matter, Brad? Are you hurt? I'm coming over there, Brad. We'll go back together. If you're hurt, we'll patch you up.
It's devastating, honestly. The way that helplessness is portrayed so amazingly here, with Frank hanging on to false hope of saving Brad until he sees the poor guy has been disemboweled. There's no hope for him, and they both know it. I think the hardest moment to cope with in this entire series is the death of Brad, a man who was only trying to do what's right and stuck to his job like a good old Joe Schmo. It sucked to lose him. With the bombs destroyed, Frank asks Isabela what else her brother could be planning. The two of them venture to his secret hideout where Carlito's laptop remains locked via passcode. By pure coincidence, Jesse calls us to show us some footage on the monitor of Carlito being dragged away by this putrid being. You make your way back underground and into the butcher shop only to find a really sick and twisted outcome for the main villain of our story.
A customer.
That guy over there. I mean, that meat?
You just wait right there, sir. In a moment, you can try the best ground meat you've ever tasted.
Whoa, ground? Wait a minute, listen. I had something else in mind.
I've got the best meat in town.
Larry is a giant waste of time and energy. He's not difficult if you can keep your distance and avoid his throwing knives. Once he's down, we get another riveting cutscene where Frank intimidatingly strikes up conversation with his defeated foe.
You're finished. It's over.
What about Isabela?
She's on our side now. She's checking out your computer right now.
My purpose in life has been to get revenge for what you people did to Santa Cabeza, to my hometown. Why? Why was your meat so much more important to you than human life?
That doesn't excuse what you've done. Hey. Hey! Hey! Stay with me! Give me the computer's password!
It's not over. Not yet.
Speak! Speak, damn it! What do you mean it's not over? Hey.
Homeboy done died. Anyways, we get the fucking password, and then Jesse tells Frank that connection to HQ has been restored. With that out of the way, we head back to the security room.
Frank, It's over. HQ's decided to ignore us.
What? What do you mean, ignore us?
I contacted headquarters, but the government has decided to deny all knowledge of what happened here. Special forces will arrive for cleanup at midnight.
Oh, fuck. HQ's ignoring us? Okay, well, I'm not sure what we're gonna do now.
Jessica McCartney, talk about your close calls. You contacted us just in time.
Oh, fuck. Okay, this isn't good. Jesus Christ, no. What the fuck is happening? Okay, so get this. Jesse becomes a zombie, and Otis left with the survivors in a military helicopter. Wow. What a crazy twist. The genius part of this segment is that there isn't any direct objective for us. We see Jesse as a zombie, and that's it. Want to know how to make the player feel helpless in a horror game? Well, here you go. Oh, Jesse, no, don't do that. As a kid, I remember feeling empty inside of the security room. I was so used to the annoying banter and repeated lines of dialogue from everyone I'd saved, only to come back and find that once again, we're all by ourselves. There's still a beacon of hope, as it turns out. We can wait for Ed to arrive in the helicopter and we'll be right as rain. Oh fuck, Isabela just called me? She needs to show me something? Well, I only have 2 hours left. Maybe I'll just wait for Ed first and then I'll go check on her after. Oh no! I got the wrong ending. What a fucking joke. Turns out I'm supposed to go to Isabela before Ed arrives in the helicopter. That would have been nice to know the first time, since I had to go all the way back and do it all over again. It's been years since I've played this game, so I'm not surprised that I forgot about that. About 35 fucking years later, I did everything in order correctly, and this time we see Ed's helicopter crash after he is attacked. This scene demonstrated helplessness in a fantastic way as well, with the way Frank West poses just like Jacob Lee. Only here you could see exactly what's going on. There are zombies behind him, his expression is grim and empty, he's lost all hope. If you ask me, this should have been the cover to the game. Frank passes out only to find that Isabela has rescued him. Unfortunately, Frank discovers the worst possible news. He's infected. This was before Zombrex was invented in the game's storyline, so you can imagine my disappointment in hearing that one of my childhood heroes was going to become the living dead, and there's no changing it. This is, I can't lie, the most boring part of the game. Isabela informs you that she can make a temporary cure if you find her all of the ingredients she needs. First, you're given a fucking grocery list of items scattered around the mall. You have to find every single thing you need while dodging this new enemy, the military operatives. I fucking hate these guys. They make me sick to my fucking stomach. The fact that they don't even have a timing window for their attacks really pisses me off. If you get sprayed even a little, Frank's health drops by like 3 to 4 bars. Might not sound like a lot, but when you get surrounded by the assholes, there's not a whole lot you can do. Guns are basically ineffective against them. You're way better off just using the mini saws. You'll save yourself the embarrassment. After you gather everything you need and bring it back, Isabela then tells you she can't work in the dark. She needs a fucking generator. Good grief. So you go and get the generator, Frank discovers a hole inside the clock tower and heads back, only to be told we need to find more queens. In total, we need 10 of them. What? Fucking 10 queens? Are you out of your mind? Queens aren't necessarily hard to find, but they're not exactly common. I ran around like an asshole for 35 minutes straight until I finally found 1 queen. The trick here is to make some nectar juices, that way queens can spawn more abundantly. Or you can go to the maintenance tunnels, there's bound to be lots of them there. Now it's time to leave, as Frank gets injected with the prototype Zombrex and we navigate our way through the clock tower caves using Isabela's new pheromone. This keeps the zombies at bay a little easier, but that's about all it's good for. Once we get to the Jeep, it seems like smooth sailing, until a fucking tank shows up. What the hell? You have to shoot the lights and turret whenever they appear, otherwise you won't do shit to the tank. After destroying it, this fucking military asshole named Brock appears and puts Frank in the crosshairs. Quite literally.
Aim main cannon.
Oh, shit.
Well, what have we here? Where were you hiding when my men mopped up the mall? On a mission, in which the number of targets is unclear. It's difficult to ensure absolute thoroughness.
How much do you know about the zombies?
I commanded the Santa Cabeza cleanup operation.
That's all it was to you, huh? A mission. What about those innocent people who had to pay for sins committed by our government and its inhuman research?
Our mistakes have not begun with this operation.
I'm not gonna lie, this part is really irritating. When you fight Brock, you're stripped of everything in your inventory. There's no realistic way to fight him either. Every time Frank gets close enough to attack, it's just interrupted. Or Brock puts Frank in this fucking chokehold. Come on, man, get off! Looks like he's trying to come onto me. I'm dead, of course. Great. Whoa, wait a goddamn fuck. I have to restart from when I saved? That means I have to beat the tank segment again. What a fatal flaw. Right at the end of the game when we're the most excited to see what happens. Our asses are on the edge of our seats, but you gotta do this crap all over again in order to even have a fucking chance. So I destroyed the tank again, and now I wondered, how do I beat the shit out of Brock? If you press spacebar to jump and then immediately click your mouse, Frank will do this somersault kick that Brock can't block. Using the game's clunkiness to your advantage is key here. If you spam this one move over and over again, Brock will die and fall into the crowd of zombies. It took me less than 60 seconds. The closing scene shows Frank seemingly having a mental breakdown as he lets out a guttural yell in anger. Surrounded by zombies, it seems his time is up. The camera zooms out and fades to black. And that's it, guys. Dead Rising's very controversial and mysterious ending. Of course, you do get a text slide that says Frank did end up sharing his story worldwide. This is known now thanks to Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, but back then fans were left in shock when this cutscene played. From this point forward, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You'll unlock a few special modes like Overtime Mode or Infinite Mode, which basically allows you to, well, I mean, I explained it in-game, so why not just hear me talk about it there? So this is Infinite Mode, if you couldn't already tell. Basically, you are given an infinite amount of time. Your life bar drains over time, no matter what you do. You have to eat food or drink drinks to refill your health on occasion. If you don't, you will die. And survivors are actually psychopaths in this mode. They come after you. They kill you. Oh, yep, see, here's fat fuck Otis. Watch, I'm gonna body him. Oh, okay, never mind, he slapped me. Okay, Otis. That's Dead Rising, everyone. I know that this game has those aged, clunky elements that make it a frustration and a pounding headache in some encounters, but the best part about Dead Rising's legacy was how huge it felt back then. The story, the characters, the amount of things you can use as weapons, the silly, over-the-top cutscenes. It's always been my favorite zombie game, and I dive into it every couple of years just to remember a simple idea that brought me a lot of warm feelings. Frank West was the perfect protagonist back then, and I think it goes without saying that Dead Rising can't be matched in its genre. Thanks again for watching, guys. Stay tuned. I've got a lot of projects planned for this summer, so you'd better put on a swimsuit and get ready to dive in. Not actually, I only have one pool and it's mine, so. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to our channel, and thanks for checking out this video. Leave a like, comment, and since we're on the subject, enjoy yourself. Thanks for watching the content, folks.